It was just a matter of time before I was found out. The apple may not have fallen far from the tree, but I was certainly no lawyer. A name, I had to give her a name, or the jig was up, something she could hang her hat on. It's Vice, Vice, baby. It's Vice, Vice, baby.
Sorry, I was muted. Off to a great start. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Hopefully, you guys had a beautiful week and is enjoying the final few hours of Saturday, at least for people on this side of the globe. Ah, mine wasn't too bad. Had a few 3D world stuff to do, so couldn't do a afternoon stream. But here we are. Little night stream. Reading Megan Fox's Believe Evidence. This will probably be the last reading because we have two chapters and conclusion left. And I know previous videos I've said that I always pre-read the chapters. I did it on this one, so everything is going to be a surprise to me. And hopefully there isn't a lot of big words because I'll either butcher it or I'll skip it. But here is your warning. Listeners, discretion is advised. Megan Fox, don't care what you say or feel while reading this book, or in your guys' case, listening to the book. She is very passionate about this subject. So, if her feelings get hurt, mom, oh well, too bad, so sad. Don't go after her. You'll regret it. If your feelings don't get hurt, then hey, welcome. Welcome. If you get offended by my mispronunciation of a few words, I'm sorry. I'm not a reader. How you doing, Harriet? Good to see you. Hopefully you're doing good. Oh, but you guys know the drill. I will pause after every chapter. So in this tonight's case, it will be two pauses. And then we'll say our goodbyes for tonight. Very, very hard to offend. That's why you're one of the favorites, Harriet, across the YouTube world. It's good to see you. So here's probably the last reading of Believe Evidence by our good old dear friend Megan Fox, the writer. not the other one. Ah, Part 3, Battle Plan. How to harpy proof your son. It's a testament to the absurd time in which we live when the following information will seem revolutionary, but that's exactly how it was received when I first wrote about it on PJ Media. It even got me invited to the Tucker Carlson show on Fox News. It seemed that our collective conclusionness is starving for common sense solutions to the absolute madhouse we found ourselves living in. Up is down, down is up, girls are boys, boys are girls, the guilty are innocent, and the innocent guilty. And no one knows how to protect themselves from the ever encroaching backwards philosophy being forced on us from every direction. It's quite simple. Return to traditional women values and save yourselves and your progeny from the madness. Raising children today is increasingly difficult, especially when it comes to sons. It's an anti male world. How else to explain the absolute insanity of Title IX college rules that if a boy and a girl are both drunk and they have sex, she can't consent, but he can. This un- this ushered in a whole new wave of girls who are able to assuage their own guilty consciousness for making bad decisions by crying rape in the morning. In the light of these new rules, you need to arm your son with old rules to save him from false allegations. Take him to church. Church attendance is dwindling in America, especially among men. Everyone is too advanced for that old superstitious nonsense. But there is no arguing that studying the Ten Commandments and living them will keep a person out of a lot of trouble. It is imperative that young men grow up learning their worth and value and the worth and value of others. Solid biblical teaching does this quite well and has for 2,000 years. Instilled a code of conduct in humanity that leads to peace and prosperity if followed. A study of black men found that church was a factor in lifting them out of poverty and installing them into the middle class. Black men who frequently attended church services at a young age are also more likely to reach the middle class or higher when they're in their 50s. 53% of those men who attended church as a young man made it, compared to the 43% who did not. Men who attend churches regularly also impart that good habit to their children. A study by Swiss government found that if a father does not go to church, no matter how faithful his wife's devotions only, no matter how faithful his wife's devotions, only one child in 50 will become a regular worshiper. If a father does go regularly, regardless of the practice of the mother, between two-thirds and three-quarters of their children will become churchgoers, regular and irregular. A boy who grows up believing the Bible to be true will not treat his wife poorly. The Bible has the answer to every human ill. I dare you to find one thing wrong with the following passage written by St. Paul. Would any woman object to being loved in this way? Husbands, love your wives, as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her, that he might sanctify her, having cleansed her by the washing of water with the word, so that he might present the church to himself in splendor, without spot or wrinkle or any such thing, that she might be holy and without blemish. In the same way, husbands should love their wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself, for no one ever hates his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it, just as Christ does the church, because we are members of his body. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. This mystery is profound, and I am saying that it refers to Christ and the church. However, let each one of you love his wife as himself, and let the wife see that she respects her husband. Imparting traditional beliefs to our sons about sexuality is absolutely essential to keeping him from being harmed by duplicitous women. Saving sex for marriage will ensure that your son does not contract diseases, unwanted pregnancies, stalkers, and more. It may be old fashioned, but there are solid facts that weigh heavily on the side of chastity. Not only will an authentic Bible believing man treat women well, but he will also value marriage, leading me to the next rule to harpy proof your son. Get married and stay married. Men who get married and stay married are happier, more successful, and have better sex lives. Studies have shown that married men are less likely to be fired, and they typically earn 10 to 40% more than single men. The average married man in his 50s gathers over his lifetime an average of 3 times the assets of unmarried men in the same age group. 51% of married men report being extremely satisfied with their sex lives. In comparison, only 39% of men who are cohabitating report the same. If great sex isn't enough of a motivation for you, how about longer life? Married men live an average of 10 years longer than unmarried men. This is proof that God's law really do provide for our ultimate good and happiness. Another very important part of marriage is staying married to this same woman. Divorce brings untold heartbreak and drama into a life that nobody wants. Family courts have devastated the lives of countless men, forcing them to pay more than they can afford, alienating them from children, and involving corrupt child protective services in their lives, which can lead to the abuse of their children in foster care. Finding the right spouse is imperative. The best way to choose a wife is to make sure you share values. Do not marry a woman who is on the opposite political spectrum. In other words, avoid SJWs like the plague. There's a time when right and left could marry and live peacefully, but that era is gone, as evidenced by the rash of women divorcing their Trump supporting husbands for no other reason than political disagreement. Leftist women generally hate men and will take out all their life disappointments on the closest man. These women have no problem trapping a man through pregnancy and then taking him for everything he has. Avoid these women. In case you're wondering how to spot them, the first indicator is how many protests they go to. If your current girlfriend can be found scratching at the doors of the Supreme Court, chasing senators out of restaurants, scaling the Statue of Liberty, or screaming helplessly at the sky because her preferred candidate didn't win an election, keep looking. If you combine any of these behaviors with brightly colored hair, watch out. Various social media commenters have noticed that the more extreme color of hair a woman has, any unnatural shade of the rainbow, the more likely she is to poison your life. Much like the eposemitism seen in brightly colored poisonous frogs or snakes signaling to predators that it is toxic or distasteful. While completely unscientific, it does seem true. The key to this litmus test is not just hair alone, but the combination of the neon hair with other red flag behavior listed above. For a happy life, find a woman who doesn't believe in divorce, wants to care for children as a team, and works to make a better community through legal means. Studies also show that marrying either earlier leads to more stable and long lasting marriages. People who marry in their 20s have a lower divorce rate than those who marry in their 30s. One of the reasons for this is that the longer you stay single, the more rigid you become in your habits and enjoy living alone. It becomes more difficult to integrate someone into your life the longer you wait. Conversely, marrying young allows you to grow up with your spouse. I've been married 18 years, and my husband and I were both 24 when we tied the knot. Now that we are in our 40s, we look back on ourselves as kids in awe that we made it this far, but can't imagine life apart because we've spent so much of it together. We literally grew up together, struggling in apartments with several jobs to make ends meet. We share so many memories of life together, and it has made us stronger. The older I get, the less I can remember life without him. Live by the Mike Pence rules. Everybody laughed at quaint Mike Pence when it was discovered that he refuses to be in a room alone with a woman who is not his wife. How old fashioned, the harpies on The View cackled. Those stupid Christians are such prudes. A few months later, the hashtag MeToo movement took over the world and toppled Harvey Weinstein and others who didn't have the foresight to be smart enough to avoid even the appearance of scandal. Evangelicals like Pence are mocked for their careful personal behavior, but guess who wasn't caught in any embarrassing pants around the ankle hashtag MeToo scandal? Suddenly, the old fuddy-duddy looked like a silver fox and was acknowledged as the smartest guy in the room. Avoid any situation that can even appear to be inappropriate is always good practice. These days, it's necessary. If a man is not married, he should avoid being alone with any woman who is not his mother or sisters. This will pose dating difficulties. The days of chaperones may be making a comeback. Advise your son to only date in groups with witnesses. If that is impossible for him, make sure he knows to document any time spent alone with the woman using his technology. Take photos and videos and save them. Obviously, if your son was raised to honor the Ten Commandments, he won't be engaging in sex before marriage. But if he decides to throw caution to the wind, make sure he gets sent off to college with an armful of legal waivers and consent forms. This sounds like a joke, but it isn't. College campuses are notoriously dangerous for young men. Title IX allows any young man's college career to be destroyed on false testimony. On college campuses, Title IX was supposed to be about equality and fairness, but lowered the standards of evidence for rape allegations to more likely than not, meaning that anyone could be easily destroyed, like Matt Bormeister, who was a star football player at University of Southern California. Bormeister was suspended and banned from campuses as well as barred from seeing his girlfriend, the supposed victim. Trouble was, she denied it and claimed the two were roughhousing consensually when some do-gooder turned him into campus police for sexual harassment. During the era of Obama, the left began to claim that rape was happening on campus at epidemic level, and the president declared it a crisis. After that, Obama's Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights demanded that universities fix it and prove they were doing it in writing or lose federal funding. That was all the motivation far left universities needed to start prosecuting guys wrestling with their girlfriends. The false accusations got so bad that President Trump's administration reversed the Obama era disaster by changing the standard of evidence to clear and convincing, or preponderance of evidence. This brings due process back to the table. However, the rabid feminists were still trying desperately to use their female privilege to accuse men of rape and be delivered, nope, and be believed at any cost. This is why you must protect your son with seemingly laughable measures. It isn't a joke that college boys need to use consent to sex forms in order to cover their bases. Even better than a written consent form is a video interview before and after, laying out what she's agreeing to and confirming that those are the only things that happened. You may be chuckling at this idea, but it is going to become commonplace with men who aren't masochists after what happened to Brett Kavanaugh. Lenin.org created a survey after hashtag MeToo took off and found that more than half of male managers are scared to work alone with or mentor a woman. Their fear is totally justifiable and rational. If women are going to insist that due process be stripped from men for their truth to be believed, then they deserve to be passed over for safer working partners. Why would any man willingly sign up to be a patsy? Encourage the men in your life to document every interaction with a woman that made them uncomfortable by emailing themselves the details and any witnesses to the event when it happens. These emails put a time and date stamp on the communication, and it is admissible in court as any journal entry would be. An editorial in the Jewish Voice by Matt Patterson agrees with me almost to the letter in his column about the rules for men in the hashtag MeToo era. Don't hire women. Where accusations against men are concerned, proof is no longer required, nor presumption of innocence granted. Under these circumstances, why on earth would a man hire any woman or interact with any woman in a professional setting? If a man must interact with a woman in a professional setting, he should do as little as possible and always with the third and fourth party present, one of whom should be a man. Never under any circumstances should a man be alone with a female coworker. No written communication with a woman coworker should take place without a boss or supervisor and at least one male coworker copied on the correspondence. Ditto with text and telephone communication. Do not mentor women or girls, numbers of whom are clearly unstable, fragile creatures, and God knows what they may misremember or misconstrue. Misconstrue. Under these circumstances, it is not even remotely worth the risk to help a woman advance her career. Brett Kavanaugh has spent his life helping women professionally. What goodwill did it buy him? Dating and romance are now minefields to be traversed with extreme caution, if at all. See above mentoring. Forget making a move, going in for the kiss, unless you get express written consent before every move. You run the risk of being labeled a sexual predator for life. The importance of keeping text messages and communications with women is of utmost importance. It was told by a reader after printing a column about this subject that her son was barely safe from false sexual harassment allegations through text history. When the mom received notice from a parent that a classmate of her son's was claiming that he had asked for an inappropriate photo, they were able to prove just the opposite. The girl in question had been coming on to the boy for a while without him responding. Angry about being rejected and after getting caught sending texts, the girl lied to her parents, pointing her finger at the boy who didn't return her affection. At this point, if a man associates with a woman who isn't his wife, he's crazy. Don't trust women. By now, at this point in this text, it should be a no brainer. Men are predisposed to trust women. After all, the first person every man learned to trust was a woman. his mother. And men with good mothers are probably at higher risk to fall into the trap of extending the benefits of the doubt to all women. Don't do it. Women are not trustworthy simply because they carry two X chromosomes. Each person, male or female, is equally capable of doing evil. Accept that fact and act accordingly. It's unfortunate we've come to a place in history where men and women must necessarily distrust one another. Our system of government, properly functioning, eliminates that by the rule of law. Innocent until proven guilty. When applied would weed out most of the false accusers and give people a sense that justice was done. Withholding judgment until evidence is presented used to signal a wise individual and society. As half the country has let go of these principles, choosing instead to disdain America's great documents and traditions, we've developed into a hellish chaos where no one and nothing is safe. And that was the first chapter of the night. We still got two left to go, but I will stop right here and catch up with Chad. Ooh, how are you doing, Daniel? Good to see ya. And I'm glad that you're feeling good lately, Harriet. Came in at a perfect time lurking while walking dogs. Ooh, hello, expert. How are you doing? Be safe out there. There's lots of dangerous people. Be careful. Judy, how are you doing? Good to see ya. I think the consent form is a very smart idea. Too many young men get accused of sexual misconduct even if the woman consents. Very true. So yeah, the consent form, email, photo, video, whatever, any type of evidence is very, very much needed, no matter what. And General T, long time no see. Good to see ya. Women can be evil. Quite a few can be, yes. But just like in both sides, they're evil and there's good. Many people worry that their freedoms are being restricted, but the world is slipping slowly into chaos, so it is time we bring back rules for society and enforce them. And in return, hopefully, a lot of this would stop. Hopefully. Hopefully. Peter, how you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you too. Nice to meet you. What a stream to walk into. But I was gonna say something. Oh, yeah, and because of this hashtag Me Too movement, another thing that's happening is that men get scared of doing CPR on women because they're scared that they're gonna be accused after for sexual misconduct, I guess. But once you do get certified as like for CPR, then you're protected under the law. But like bystanders who are not men will not perform CPR on women. And it's becoming a problem. It's very, very becoming a problem. Uplifting for a Saturday night? Oh yeah, always, always. Let me get a sip of water and I will continue the second chapter. Hopefully your walk is going good, expert. Okay, second chapter of the night. How to harpy proof your daughter. It isn't just sons who need to inoculate, but daughters. But daughters too. Sorry, I need to finish reading the freaking sentence before I stop talking. If you don't want your daughters growing up to be a false accuser, then there are some things you need to do to make sure she doesn't turn into a duplicitous deceiver or a victim. The first rule will seem repetitive, but necessary. Take her to church. Church is for everyone. As I wrote on PJ Media, beyond teaching girls basic morality, make sure you explain to them that unrepentant, intentional lying is a mortal sin. It can send them straight to hell. It is far easier to teach mortality to children when they know that there are eternal and very painful consequences for their actions. Churches that avoid doctrine about an actual terrifying place where souls go for eternal damnation called hell will not be helpful in this regard. Teaching children not to lie is a difficult thing because it comes so naturally to them, especially girls. And I know because I have two of them. Not me, Megan. It's in the book. Women are better liars than men. I have no scientific study to back this up, but in my experience, this is true. Others have noticed it too. In Little White Lies, Deep Dark Secrets, The Truth About Women and Deception. Susan Shapiro Barash cites an online survey of 500 women that found females fib about everything from love to money to plastic surgery. Women are mu- Women are also much more prone to telling little white lies to try to keep from hurting someone's feelings. It is my belief that because women tend to lie about little things, they are very practiced and become flawless in their execution of tall tales. I believe it is linked to emotional intelligence, in which women are naturally more gifted than men. We have an inborn ability to manipulate emotions. In studying my own daughters, I have noticed that they would work hard at manipulating their father's emotions more so than mine. Perhaps they know it is less likely to work on me, or maybe it's just instinct. Whatever the explanation, girls can lie effectively, and if those lies are left uncorrected, they can lead to destructions of lives. Grounding your daughters in church teaching and biblical examples of why lying is so deleterious to their well being is essential. Mine react well to Bible stories, so I often pull out good stories about lying, like the tales of Ananias and Sapphira, who tried to cheat God out of tithes and suffered a terrible fate. The tale of the cheating tax collector Zacchaeus is a good one too. When encountering Jesus, Zacchaeus gave back 4 times what he stole and repaired his life. Proverbs says, I can't talk. A truthful witness saves life, but a false witness is deceitful. There can be no better example of this than the previous chapters about the consequences of a false witness. Countless lives were destroyed until someone came forward with the truth. Only then would reparations be made. It is far better to be truthful witness than the false accuser. Two opening statements by Christine Baisley Ford and Brett Kavanaugh, side by side, offer an interesting lesson on false witness. I would encourage any parent to show those to their daughters to illustrate the gravity of what false tales could do to your life and the lives of those targeted. I don't think Dr. Ford would repeat her choices if she had the foresight to see how she would be remembered in history. Do you? Teach her how to party. Ideally, we don't want our daughters, especially when they're underage, attending any parties where there might be drinking. But having been in high school and attended those parties myself without my parents' knowledge or consent, I know that my wishes may not always be respected. It is with that in mind that I offer this advice. Beer is not the problem, drunkenness is. Being drunk opens your daughter up to dangerous situations in which her safety will be compromised. In our house, we always have shown our children what drinking responsibly looks like. My husband and I drink wine with dinner sometimes and have cocktails on the weekend. We try to model what moderation looks like. My good friend Doug Giles, who has raised two fantastic girls, who made it into adulthood in one piece, wrote about this in Raising Righteous and Rowdy Girls. I recommend this book for anyone with daughters. Here is some practical advice for your teen girls who are headed out into the world with their driver's license and without you to follow. Choose a beer with a dark bottle. Drink one, or empty it in the bathroom and fill it up with water. When asked if you'd like another one, you can say, "No thanks, I just got one," and no one will know what's in it. Give them a code text or a phrase that they can get out of a sticky situation. Make sure they know that if they're out doing something that breaks your rules but they need help, that they can call or text you with a code phrase. Some people just use one word, one letter, like Q, and you will immediately call their phone with a fake family emergency and extract her from the event. You will also not bring down the parental hammer on her for disobeying your rules. Instead, you will take her home, tuck her safely in, and pray a prayer of thanksgiving that she's safe. The next day, you will talk about what happened with her in a calm way and let her come to the conclusions that her choices could have been better and thank her for doing the right thing. This also works for sons too, by the way. Teach her how to dress. Feminists hate this advice and claim that it's slut shaming, but my daughters are going to know what it means to respect themselves. It doesn't mean booty shorts and cleavage. As Christians, we are to be wise and not foolish. It is foolish for teen girls to trapeze around at night at parties wearing next to nothing. Men will see them as easy prey, and the whole point of training young girls to be women of value is to present that impressions to the world. Choosing to dress modestly may not keep a girl from being raped, but it will attract less negative attention. Emil Pagila, my favorite feminist, had this to say on the subject. Misled by the naive optimism and "you go girl" boosterism of their upbringing, young women do not see the animal eyes glowing at them in the dark. They assume that bare flesh and sexy clothes are just fashion statements containing no messages that might be misread and twisted by a psychotic. They do not understand the fragility of civilization and the constant nearness of savage nature. Teach them that self defense includes fashion choices. Don't mess around men before marriage. God bless my mother for trying to tell me that. She was right, but I had to learn it the hard way, being me. I pray my girls will believe in me when I tell them that playing around with men you're not going to marry is a waste of youth, time, and energy. None of those dillions can compare to the man they will marry. And when they do find him, if there's a string of lovers behind them, there will be regret. Those church's rules, if followed, lead to good things. Chastity is wise. It saves us from entanglements we might not want to be involved in. It protects hearts from breaking, diseases from spreading, regrets from forming, and unwanted pregnancies from happening. The old "they're going to do it anyway" defense is still not an excuse for parents to lower expectations. Girls need to know all the ways that premature sexual activity can impact their lives negatively. Don't leave it up to the school to impart this dangerous secular philosophy to your girls. Everyone makes their own mistakes, but some can be avoided. Sex too early and outside of marriage has far more cons than pros. Honestly, there is one positive thing that can come from your daughter racking up sexual partners, as Teen Vogue would suggest, like she's trying to outdo Caligula. Teen Vogue put out an article for 15-year-old girls about how to have anal sex. What in the hell is going on here? Shortly after I reported that story, Teen Vogue stopped production. Hallelujah! There are so many messages targeting teen girls to act like debauched hookers risking serious injury and illness that someone has to step in and scream. Why? For orgasms? Learning self control would benefit girls far more in every situation in life than any orgasm. Humans are not their sexuality. Instead, teach her to own her sexuality and direct it appropriately so she is not a slave to any impulse or passion. This will benefit her far more than learning how to stick things in her butt. It's amazing I even have to write these words. I feel like we live in a live action roleplay of The Onion. Another reason to encourage waiting is to limit the instances where your daughter will feel pressured and experience regret. These days, regret is often miscategorized as rape because campus policy politicos say that women can retract consent if she feels icky about her choices in the morning. That's pure bunkum. Regret is a natural reaction to poor decisions. Don't let your daughters avoid regret. Teach them that the feeling of regret is the conscious's way of imparting wisdom and correction. Regret should be the catalyst to repentance and change. It is not an invitation to accuse someone of rape. If your daughter does decide to sleep around and regrets it, make sure she knows that on her. Make sure she knows that's on her and no one else. Teach her how to fight. Self defense is a human right. Gone are the days of chivalry. It is an almost certain fact that if your daughter is attacked, even if there are crowds of people nearby, all of them will film it on their phones instead of helping. It is therefore necessary that today's women learn to fight. My choice of self defense training for my girls is Jiu Jitsu. I prefer this martial arts to others because it is based on the fact that all fighters go to the ground. And once you're there, you need to know how to get away. Karate seems useless to me because all fights are done standing up. What rapist do you know is going to spar with your daughter? He's going to tackle her, probably from behind, and she needs to know how to wrestle and use his strength against him. This is why Jiu-Jitsu teaches. This is what Jiu-Jitsu teaches. Gracie Jiu-Jitsu also has an excellent bully-proof training that teaches children how to avoid fights when possible but how to win if a physical confrontation is unavoidable. It's an excellent program. These days, schools cannot be counted on to protect your children from a bully, and it's an age-old wisdom that bullies don't pick on targets who can fight back. Whatever defense training you choose one and keep them in it as long as you can so that fighting back becomes second nature. Teach her to shoot. Obviously, the great equalizer between men and women is a gun. Gun ownership is proficiency with firearms is an excellent defense against rapists. This advice is not popular with half of the country, but I would prefer my girls live. Training is essential. There is no point in carrying a firearm if you don't know how to use it properly. My husband has been teaching our daughters to shoot since they were 4. They're pretty good at it now. Both of them have been hunting with their dad and see guns as useful tools that come with rules. I trust my children on guns. Both of them know how to load, unload, check if a gun is loaded, and are well versed in safety. We also bought them Red Ryder BB guns for Christmas when they each turned 8, and they love going into the woods with them in target shooting to this day. When they are of age, they will take the state training to carry conceal. I refuse to send them to college unarmed. There is no point in making girls afraid of guns unless you don't want them to be able to defend their lives. Evil exists, and one day it may meet your daughter in a dark alley or on a date. I hope she's packing if that happens. Teach her to seek justice. Teach your daughter that she's not a victim. She's entitled to justice, and if the worst happens and she's raped, she needs to know that the worst thing she can do is stay silent and wait 30 years to tell anybody. If she waits and the statute of limitations runs out, there is nothing that can be done. Further, if there is no statute of limitations, any evidence will have grown cold or been destroyed, and the possibility of holding someone accountable is virtually zero. Many girls do not come forward because they are afraid of the consequences for breaking rules they shouldn't have broken. Let your girls know that nothing they were doing would prevent you from seeking justice against a legitimate attack. The advice above about extracting them from uncomfortable situations should solve the issue of them lying to you to cover their tracks. If they know you won't be angry with them for breaking your rules, they won't have a reason to lie. Girls must be taught these things early. Have frank conversations with them about how our legal system works. Here are the rules of dealing with sexual assault. Fight like hell to get away, and if that fails, try to scratch and claw at the attacker to preserve DNA under fingernail. After an assault, the very first thing to do is get to a safe space and call the police and parents. Do not shower or change clothes or even wash hands. Evidence must be preserved. Go to a hospital for a rape kit as soon as possible. Do not be afraid of name. Do not be afraid to name the attacker if he's familiar. It's tough to imagine that a relative or someone close to the family would be a rapist, but it happens frequently. Over 70% of rapes are committed by someone known to the victim. Make sure your daughter knows she can tell you anything. Also, make sure she knows that if she does delay in coming forward and does not do these things listed above, that her story will be suspect, and you will consider that she may have lied. Hopefully, the lessons you taught her about the severity of lying and its consequences will have eliminated that possibility. To quote my favorite columnist, me, make sure you tell her that if she does not come forward, every day she waits is another day further away from justice until the day comes when justice cannot be had. Don't wait for that day, do it now. The only way women will overcome sexual assault is to become bold and courageous. And the only place to learn that is in the home. Parents, it is your job to keep your daughters from being victims or victimizers. And what a tough job it is. And that was the second chapter for tonight. Got some new faces coming in. So, I informed parasocial relationship with people in Baker's orbit. Nice. I'd be terrified to have a daughter this day and age. Yeah. It, in my opinion, I think having a daughter in this day and age will be way more difficult, like to raise her and stuff, than having a son. But that's my opinion. D, what are you doing, good sir? Long time no see. Very true expert. Baker is a good dude. He's awesome. Do-do-do. And Darth Chaz. How you doing? Good to see ya. What's going on? I do not know. Do. Good tips I've heard so far. And my ex coworker, she also said one thing. I think she either said her parents taught her, or like she heard somewhere, learned it somewhere, is if you're being harassed as a female, or I guess it could apply to males as well, don't shout help. Yell fire, like as if there's like a fire going on. Yell fire, then you'll get instant attention. So I guess yelling help is not as effective anymore, so she was told to yell fire. And I've never heard that until then, which I now look back, I'm like, that's a pretty good point. But yeah. So let me get another swig, and we will read the last chapter, which is the conclusion. Conclusion. The withholding of due process from one set of people and not others, held by the fake news media, can and will spark a civil war if it does not stop. The media has printed a world for the left where they are victims of crimes by villains in red hats, creating scores of MAGAphobes who can and do commit violence against Trump supporters. It matters not that all of it is false. All that matters to the lying media is political victory and helping Democrats win elections. They do not care how many people are harmed, how many buildings are burned, how many windows are smashed, or how many commuters are stopped by mass protests on highways. These things are all peripheral to the fake news media, whose one goal is to elect more Democrats. The collateral damage done to Americans by these gangsters of chaos is meaningless to them. Even their so called support for women is counterfeit and only designed to harm perceived enemies. Republican women will never get the kind of backing the media offers women who harm their enemies or be taken at their word for any reason. Paula Jones, Juanita Broderick, and the rest of Bill Clinton's accusers weren't even Republicans. But their stories threatened a Democrat, and so they were not believed. Their stories were not pushed as true, and as a result, they were demonized and destroyed by a rabid press willing to do the Democrats' bidding. In order to combat the massive damage being done to Americans at the hands of the press and political operatives, the people of this country need to embrace due process and demand that our media stop reporting allegations as fact. Any news outlet that does this before an investigation is completed Any news outlet that does this before an investigation is completed should be ridiculed mercilessly for engaging in journalistic malpractice and lose its license. Major news media outlets are taking items generally reserved for police blotter column and making major headlines out of them. How is this allowed by editorial staff, and why don't the American people demand that to stop? Lives are ruined, families destroyed, and careers ended by blatant disregard for our laws and process, and it must stop now. Hashtag Believe Women is just a cover for political shenanigans aimed at silencing and harming conservatives. Women who are no more trustworthy than men, as this book has shown, and it's past time for us to profess a new declaration of independence from a corrupt and tyrannical press. From this day on, we will only believe evidence. And that was the conclusion. Next section is acknowledgments, which I'm sure Megan Fox is saying thanks to everyone. And here's our author. Oh, it's Megan Fox. Yay. So yeah, after 11, right? 11 readings, we have finished Believe Evidence, The Death of Due Process, from Salome to hashtag #Me2, by our good friend Megan Fox, the writer. Ah, and yeah, and the biggest book that I've read from cover to cover as a 24-year-old. Isn't that crazy? D what? I have an aunt that was in a situation and she yelled fire as supposed to help. Yeah. And I bet it was effective. But yeah. Uh Same as always. No thoughts. I love that she ended with the prevention advices. And yeah, I mean it's very rare for a book to catch my eyes after a chapter. And this one did. Probably because of the language has been used. It's very unfiltered. If you like unfiltered books that are straight to the point and very passionate, get yourself a copy, which is pinned on the top of the chat. It goes to an Amazon link, which is linked to Megan Fox's uh, what's it called, page, Amazon page as a author, and it won't break your bank. I think it was 13 when I bought it. It was like $13, so it's not bad at all. So, oh, let's see who's live. How about that? Okay, yeah. So paperback is $12.99 and Kindle is $2.99. So it's very affordable. Content live. This stream. Customizations. Is anybody live? Um, I don't think anyone is live. Oh, Mbarloka, how you doing? Good to see ya. I'll send you to I'll watch clips. Say hi to our favorite Swede. How about that? It's just looks like doing this week on Judge Simpson's court. So say hi to Nick for me. Thank you everyone for joining me on this final part of the live reading of Believe Evidence by Megan Fox. It was a great book. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Would probably read again from cover to cover. Who knows? In my own personal time, not on live again. But please, on your way out, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button if you do like these kind of contents. And if you're already subscribed, please double check that you still are. Appreciate you guys. I hope you have a beautiful morning, evening, night, wherever you are. Stay beautiful. Stay awesome. I love you guys, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.
for this stream, but it's been so sweet. Thanks for hanging with us, it's been a treat. We'll keep it warm, keep it real, take it slow. Catch you next time when the vibes are ready to flow. If you enjoyed the ride, give us a like, subscribe for the warmth. Come back whenever you like. Until then, take it easy, don't rush, don't hurry. I'll be here waiting, no need to worry. Vice, baby, always by your side. Stay cozy, stay calm, let the good times ride. Peace for now, but we'll meet again. Take care, my friend, until then.